Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Wednesday sessions. This is our very first one from the series, and we're so thankful that you carved some time out in your busy schedules to be with us here today. And before I jump into what we're going to be talking today, well, Gavin will be presenting, I just wanted to drop a quick note to say that our next session is going to be on how to create relevant content for social media during a crisis with the VP of Marketing at Animals.co. Animals is a brilliant content marketing agency and is classified as one of the best in the world. And we'll have Devin Bramhall to talk about what makes content relevant on social. And you can register for this already. I'll drop up a link a little bit later so you can save your seat. And then, of course, today we're here to talk about how to navigate your business through COVID-19. It is a very tough time for all of us and for businesses all around the world. And we wanted to share with you how Gavin and we personally navigated through this. So a little bit about Gavin, if this is your first time and you've never heard about Sendible before. Gavin is the founder and CEO of Sendible. Sendible is a social media management platform built for agencies and brands to help them manage social media in a better and more effective way by telling better stories. And today he'll be showing you all that he did to navigate our business through COVID-19. Say hi, Gavin.
Thanks, Veronica. I'm going to share my screen now. Let's hope this works.
Just before I let you go, though, Gavin, just a quick one. This session is being recorded. Please use the questions tab to ask any kind of questions for Gavin. We'll get back to every single one. And we'll also run a poll to just get to know you a little bit better. All right, over to you, Gavin.
Cool, let's just see. Can you guys all see my screen now? Just leave a thumbs up in the chat window. Great. Okay, so first of all, thanks for joining us today. I know that there are tons of live streams happening right now, and I really appreciate you joining this one. I'm going to be showing you how to navigate your business through COVID-19 using a tool that I've personally used at Sendible for the last probably 6 months now. So before we jump into this, tell me if this sounds like you. So when I first realized that COVID-19 was a big deal, this all went through my head. The first thing was in January, people were saying there's a new SARS-like virus. And I was saying it's nothing to worry about. It's only in China. Then in February, people were saying coronavirus cases are here now. And I was saying it's like the common flu, nothing to worry about. You know, it'll be fine. And then people were saying, oh crap, it's spreading. And I was saying, let's all stay home. And then it started getting serious in April, actually end of March, early April. The companies started closing, people are losing their jobs. And I said, okay, let's take action now. Let's do something about this. So I needed to figure out a way to get the whole company to take action quickly, to adapt to this new world, how things were moving so quickly as they were at the start of April, end of March. But to be honest, initially I froze. I thought, you know, can we continue with business as usual? Can we just do the same? Can we do the same thing we've always been doing? But once I got over the fear and panic, I had quite a few ideas in my head to move things forward. But I had so much anxiety as well about all the change, and I needed a way to gather my thoughts together and try to plan a way forward for the company. Plus, I had to motivate 40 people to be able to act swiftly and take action. And that was quite challenging. Like, how do you get a whole company to move forward and change direction almost overnight? So I looked at traditional management tools like OKRs. Have you guys heard of OKRs? Anyone familiar with that management tool? But I realized that OKRs wouldn't necessarily work in this situation. We just needed to kind of execute quickly and figure out what the new world looks like, what the changes that would need to be made would be. So I needed a way to give clarity to my thoughts. And I was looking for a concise way to essentially plan and communicate a strategy in a visual way that's almost like a one-pager that can articulate my thought process as we go through this. And I discovered something called strategy maps. Anyone heard of these things, of this tool? You can leave a thumbs up in the chat window if you have. But essentially what it is, it's a way to create a one-pager to kind of put together your strategy and then communicate your processes and your goals for the short term. So I want to show you how I use them, how I've used it to bring my thoughts together, how to communicate a vision. As I said, I used this towards the end of 2019 to craft a vision for this year at Sendible. And it works really well if you want to kind of unite an entire team to kind of work together for a common goal or for a strategy. And it can be used for any scenario, not just CEOs, managers, but it can be used by agencies, anyone needing to clearly communicate a strategy to someone else. So I'm going to walk you through how that works. But before I do, let me explain why strategy maps are useful and beneficial. As I said, it helps you create a one-pager for making quick decisions. Everyone can see where you're going, what the plan is. It also links all the critical processes needed to deliver the outcome. So you can see how everything is linked together as part of all the different objectives that you're working towards. And it also allows managers to measure results and allocate resources. So when you're looking at this flow diagram, which you'll see shortly, it's a way to kind of see where you can allocate or invest more in different objectives to get different outcomes, whether it be time or resources, in terms of money. So we're going to go through a practical exercise right now. We're going to create a strategy map from scratch together. I want this to be super interactive. So I'm going to need one volunteer, ideally a business owner, which I'll ask for shortly. And if you're joining us, if you have a piece of paper with you, old school, please take that out with a pen. I'm going to ask you to sketch some concepts as we go through this. Divine, sorry, you asked if the map will be available for download. And yes, so we're going to be able to provide a template after this of a strategy map that you can use and populate yourself in your own time. And I'm happy to also look at your strategy maps afterwards. So if you want to build your own, send it to me afterwards via email. I can give you some advice and some tips as to what I've been doing and give you some guidance. So yeah, let's jump into this. So I'm going to start by showing you just a high-level overview of what a strategy map is. Very simplistic overview. And then I'm going to give you an example. And then I'll look for volunteers from the audience. So if you focus your attention on the left side of the screen, let me actually zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so a strategy map is essentially a flow diagram. It's a way to position your vision and your mission, and then kind of gives you a set of quadrants where you can populate different goals based on the different objectives or different perspectives. So let's start from the top. The first thing is you'd have the name and the time frame of your strategy. So for example, let's say it's a restaurant. The restaurant wants to create a Q2 strategy for COVID-19. So it's generally just covering the period you want to show in your map. And then the vision is obviously your company vision. So what do you want to become? What's your long-term goal? So the restaurant wants to become known for the best pasta in London. That's the long-term goal. Just become known for having the best pasta. And the mission is, what do you want to do now to work towards that vision? So their mission might be to get our pasta into every home in London during the lockdown period. So it's more of a short-term mission, but it's a pathway to the vision. Then once you have your vision and mission, obviously that's your goal where you're heading towards. You would then look at each of the various quadrants. And the first one is obviously looking at your financial perspective. And these would be objectives related to your financial health. So let's say, for example, in Q2, the restaurant strategy would be to gain market share, right? So they want to take advantage of COVID-19 and see what they can do to take market share while other restaurants are closed. So that's their financial objective or perspective, is to gain market share. The next step is the customer perspective. So what are the different objectives that they'll want to put together related to the customers and the market? So one of them would be, we want to make sure we have quick delivery and good food going out to our customers. And the second thing related to market share would be to have low prices. So we want to be able to deliver food at lower prices in a way that helps us gain market share and build reputation during the lockdown. The third quadrant is then process perspectives. So what are the different objectives that we can come up with that are related to actually delivering the results? So what can you do in your teams or in your company that can move you forward to delivering the results above? So they might want to join Uber Eats, which will help ensure that they can deliver quick, good food. And they might want to cut costs to enable them to reduce their prices and gain market share. So everything is kind of linked to the step above it. And then the final step is what are the learnings that they need to, or skills they have to develop in order to achieve the goals above it. So if they want to improve their processes, join Uber Eats, cut costs, whatever it is, they might want to learn online marketing, and they might want to develop skills around Facebook ads. So how can they use Facebook ads to drive traffic to maybe their Uber Eats page, whatever it is, or if it's a kind of ordering website they're using, to then drive obviously delivery of good food and achieve their objectives towards the market share goal. And at the bottom, normally you would add your values. So you can see that everything that drives all this change, all these objectives is underpinned by your company values and how you operate. So that's kind of what it looks like. It's a very simplistic version. I'm going to show you the Sendible example afterwards. But before I do, can you just take a minute right now, if you can write down on your piece of paper at the top of your page what your vision is. What's your 2 to 3 year sort of vision for your business? And what you want to do now to help get you towards that vision. If you'd like, you can also leave it in the chat window, and we can pick up some examples that we can all discuss. So take a minute, just jot down your vision and your mission, and we'll go forward in probably about a minute or so. In the meantime, I'll check to see if there are any questions. And are there any business owners in the audience that would like to share their vision in the chat window that we can then plug into the strategy map?
Looking at the polls, Gavin, we have 6 agency owners in the house.
Oh, wow.
So if
you're not comfortable sharing your own, then feel free to share one of your clients as well. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's take an example from Georgie. So Georgie wants to better outline financial goals connected to her business consulting coaching membership course. So I assume that she wants to create a plan that helps her outline her goals. So I'm assuming that the goal of the course would be to gain members. Is that correct? Okay, sales training. Okay, so let's say, can you tell me what your financial sort of goal would be on that? Would it be to increase sales to the other memberships, to drive more sales, drive more memberships? Okay, cool. So that would go into the financial perspective, so drive memberships, of course. So that would be okay. And then basically, what would you be doing from a customer perspective to help drive memberships? Would you be doing things like lowering prices? What would the customer experience from their perspective from what you're trying to achieve? Especially during COVID-19 right now, you want to get them to learn a particular skill, or okay, cool. So low price, and then I guess get confident in sales would be maybe a skill to help them get confident in sales. Okay, low prices, and you want to do something that gets them more confidence in. Okay, build sales confidence. Okay. And then I guess what could you do from a process perspective in your business itself to be able to lower prices and be able to help them build sales confidence? Would it be recording maybe a course, videos? Would it be learning how to do video? Like what is it? So give Zoom recording. Okay. So that would be the process, right? So you want to set up maybe Zoom sessions. And okay, learning. learning video, maybe video skills or techniques, that kind of thing. And actually, that learning perspective would then come into the learning. Free classes then record. Okay, that's actually really good. So then basically you have a strategy map here, and you can see how everything feeds into the next thing. So learning video goes into your Zoom sessions. Lower price, then that would potentially, I mean, it depends if Zoom costs you anything, or if it's free, it might help you be able to lower prices because you're gaining more market share or selling more. And then that kind of, sorry, that's a bit messy there, but we have a question here from Melissa. How will Georgie create revenue by giving free classes? So a strategy that I think is working well for a lot of companies right now is to give things away for free during the current crisis in a way to build trust for the long term. So, if you can get them to become part of your audience, they trust you, and then once it's over, you then have them as potential customers that you can sell to. So I think a lot of companies right now are taking the short-term hit for a long-term gain. Sorry, Ryan, is that help more clients adapt, find a niche, and grow there? So, sorry, you mean help small clients adapt, find a niche, and grow with quickly evolving times? I think that's a really good advice there. Yeah. So I'm gonna jump into just kind of how we do this at Sendible. This is a more advanced, kind of a more fully fleshed out sort of strategy. It doesn't have everything we're doing right now. It just has some ideas of what we're working towards. Doesn't give away everything, but so this is a complete sort of strategy map. This is part of what I was working on when we first devised how to approach COVID-19, and it starts with our vision at Sendible, which is to be a place where social media agencies are empowered to grow. Basically, we exist to help social media agencies be successful, and our mission is to make agency owners successful by helping them amplify the impact of their client stories. So that's kind of the underarching, the goal of where we're going. And our financial perspective is kind of, so as you'll see in the top, sorry, just to backtrack a little bit, you've got the 4 sections, and the top 2 sections are what we want to accomplish, and the bottom 2 is how we plan to accomplish it. So the top, what we want to do is financial and customer, and how we plan to get there is internal process and obviously learning and growth. So at the top of it, we just want to basically have 0% net growth by end of Q2. So if we can just ride the wave through coronavirus and come out with a net growth of 0, we'd be happy with that. And some of the tactics in terms of the financial perspective would be to retain a certain percentage of recurring revenue. So obviously we sell subscriptions. If we can retain a percentage of that by the end of the quarter, that'll be a really good outcome for us. We want to reduce non-essential costs, and we want to increase market share. So I'm going to show you just this particular angle and how things are linked. So retain X% of revenue. We want to, from the customer perspective, we want to be able to build trust and just give value as much as we can. As I said, to build an audience and build a following. So when this is over, hopefully we can have an audience that trusts us and will eventually buy from us. And how are we going to build trust and give? One thing we're going to do is we're going to provide live chat support on all our plans. So we want to be available to provide support for our customers and build trust by giving them value and support. We also want to grow a Facebook community where our customers come together, they learn from each other, they can get through these tough times together. And I think we'll share that link at the end of this anyway, but that's one of our strategies. And we also want to be able to host weekly customer success and support training webinars. So again, being more available for our customers, giving content, giving support, giving help as much as we can. And then the other thing it's linked to building trust and giving is running weekly workshops to provide learning and development for our customers to help them get through this. And you can see how everything here is linked to that initial goal of build trust and give. And then that's linked to obviously retaining a certain percentage of revenue over the course of this crisis. After that, we have the internal process perspective. So what changes must we make now to be able to support the goals above it, or those objectives above it? So we want to redesign our cancellation flows. So when someone cancels, improve that workflow experience for them. So we learn more about why they're canceling and maybe we can help them out. Next thing is to be able to introduce our leads and trialists as part of the community. to help them all come together and learn from each other and develop and get through this together. And the next thing is to help train our customer success and support staff on hosting webinars. So it's something quite new to us. We're trying to learn how to do this, what the process looks like, and that will help feed into being able to deliver that particular objective. And then the learning objectives would be around learning a new tool to provide the live chat on all our plans. So we're looking at something called Zendesk Chat, being able to experiment more with video. So we believe that showing your face these days is really critical when everyone's isolated. So we're trying to learn how to use video more in our online communication. And then obviously learn as a company how it can be more agile to be able to adapt to the coming changes that are unpredictable right now as a result of COVID-19. So those are a few of the things we're working on right now. And you'll see that everything is guided by, all these objectives are guided by our values as a company. And these, again, we can link up to the different things. So we're trying to be curious. We might link that to the learning objectives. Being authentic, again, about learning video and showing our faces and helping customers. Being reliable. So we have some goals here around scaling the platform as we grow on the lower end. And then empowerment, so really being there to help our customers through tough times and overcoming these challenges. So before I go into the template, are there any other questions just on this screen? Veronica, do you want to help me out here?
No questions just so far. Just that if you could zoom in a little bit, that would have been useful.
But... Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, sorry, guys. We will provide a template for you, though, so you will have all that, and you'll have the recording. So.
Cool. Yeah, I'll share this afterwards. I mean, if you look at the entire thing, it is quite a big map, but this does fit onto the one-page document, which is really good. And then just to explain how I normally work with this is I'll then take, normally if we do this for a quarter or for a year, I will take a subset of those objectives and then write a document that explains how these objectives feed into other things. So I wouldn't normally give everything as part of one sort of strategy. I would pick a few and work on those things initially, and then move towards that goal. But right now, we're trying to experiment a lot with different things because we are not sure what's coming around the corner as a result of COVID-19. So we just kind of have everything in one sort of strategy map right now. Okay, so before I move on to the templates, I was just going to take any other questions on anything in particular about any of this before moving on. Cool.
I believe there was just one question. Sorry, Gavin.
Okay.
It was from Sherry Herman, and she was asking, how often do you refresh your strategy map? Yearly, quarterly, monthly?
That's a good question. So this year I did one for the whole of 2020, but because of COVID-19, I've had to put that one on pause. And actually, just to backtrack, we'll do the whole of the year, but I'll break it up into quarters. So we might say for Q1, we might just focus on like these three things, and that'll become a strategy. But I'll have a goal for the entire year, a strategy for the entire year that I can break up into quarters, and those become the various objectives that we work towards. But then when we have something that's a pressing issue or something we want to jump on quickly, I'll normally start by just mapping out for myself, my own purposes, to understand what's needed and which teams need to be involved in the process. Because it might involve marketing, might involve sales, product, various teams. And for them to see the role they play, even for a small project, you can do this. You can show the different roles and different objectives as part of that project. So everyone understands what we're working towards as a company. But it varies. I mean, I normally adapt it based on what's coming around the corner, what challenges we're facing. I don't always share this document with everyone. I mean, this is how I work, and I'll normally break it up into just a written document. But because it can get quite complicated if you do a whole year of this. But it's really up to you to decide how you want to use it. I would just take a small project initially. So maybe you're focusing on the Q2 objectives. Start there and then see if you want to expand it to a whole year set of objectives. Cool. So just to show you the template that I'll be able to share with you afterwards, it's just really a very basic empty template that you guys can use. I'll share it with you so you can just plug in your own sort of objectives in there. And as I said, if you have any questions, I'm going to share my email address shortly. Okay, so just some further reading on this topic if you're interested. there's something called balanced scorecard, which is kind of bringing in almost KPIs and measurements. So you have the objectives, but you also have measurements to help you determine how close you're getting to those objectives and those goals. So I recommend just looking on Amazon for the balanced scorecard, helping to translate strategy into action. And then again, by the same author, Robert Kaplan, is a book on strategy maps, and these feed into the balanced scorecard. So what I showed you is just part of the entire story, but this all comes together as one entire sort of process. And if you'd like a copy of the template, feel free to email me personally at gavin@sendible.com. And again, if you want to draft one and send it to me for review, I'm happy to give you feedback on your strategy and kind of we can brainstorm some ideas. Always willing to help and discuss business tactics and strategy. So feel free to email me at gavin@sendible.com. And just personally, I'm sharing my own journey on the podcast, Sendible Insider Podcast. I'm trying to push something out every week, so every learning we have or every challenge we face, trying to share how we overcome those challenges on a week-by-week basis. So if you'd like to get some ideas from what we're doing, feel free to subscribe and listen in. Very short, actionable podcasts, under 10 minutes at the moment. And just search for Sendible Insider on whatever sort of tool you use to subscribe. Cool. I'm going to hand back to Veronica now, just to see if we have any more questions.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how we're doing for time. Are we okay for time?
We just have 3 more minutes, so we were scheduled to do this within 30 minutes, but I'm sure some people would like to hang around for the Q&A. Just a reminder, please do add your questions in the questions tab and we will get to them. Gavin, I do have a few questions to you that we had submitted for our community. So maybe we can start with those while people add theirs. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Cool. All right. So one of the questions that I have here is, Gavin, speaking to you as a business owner, what are the things you're struggling with the most at the moment?
That's a good question. I think initially it was about routine. So if you listen to the latest podcast, homeschooling children and running a business is really challenging because you have to kind of juggle 2 priorities at the same time. So that's been a problem or a challenge, I guess, with COVID-19. But I think the other challenge is I think you have to be willing to adapt and move quickly due to uncertain times. So, if you stick to your old ways of working, you might be left behind because there are loads of opportunities during this time. I mean, I know people say, it's tough times and that kind of thing. But I think if you look at the opportunity to go online and reach an audience and use social media to reach that audience, because everyone is on social media right now, the opportunities to build an audience are really endless right now. So if you can give and share more of your learnings, be willing to help rather than sell, that can help set you ahead of your competitors when this is all over. So I think the challenge for me is just being able to act quickly and get the team to kind of be willing to experiment a little bit because we aren't sure what's coming. But I guess the other big challenge was really setting a vision at the start of the year and not being able to move towards that vision right now. So we know we want to get to a certain place 2-3 years, but I've had to kind of put that on pause for now, just to focus on what the changes that are coming our way are or could be, and be prepared to adapt as they come our way.
Yeah, I think struggling with having to change after planning it for so long, that's definitely a huge struggle. Thank you, Gavin. And then there's another one from the community, and we have some popping up in the questions tab, so I'll get to those in a second. So would you, as a consumer, I guess, and as a person here, how important do you think social media is right now? And what are some of the best things maybe you've heard from brands and the way that they communicate? What has been your personal experience with brands and social media?
I think the first thing is that context is key. So if you want to get anyone to pay attention, you have to be willing to share content that's in the context of what they're thinking about right now. So we know everyone is obviously anxious about the current climate, what's happening. There's no point trying to drive them away from where they're thinking, where their mindset is right now. So you just have to be willing to share content that's relevant and going to help them. So I think the best pieces of content are where it's not patronizing or condescending, but it's in a way where people are sharing their own lessons or learnings. I think the biggest, actually, this is another thing. I think the biggest risk or challenge here is there are no books written about how to deal with this current situation, right? It's all very new to a lot of people. You can't just get a book and figure out how to traverse or how to navigate this current climate. So people are looking for heroes that they can get behind. If you can share your hero's journey, be as open and honest as possible on social media, and share how you're overcoming challenges, you'll then build a following that's rooting for you. And by the end of it, you'll have this high trust audience that'll be willing to buy from you when it's all over. So I think the tip here is really don't read the books. Just try to be innovative and unique in your approach. Do things that are different. Just I guess one example is, we know every company is building a community right now. Everyone's trying to launch a community, get their customers on there. Our community is very different. Our community is run by our customers. It's about them helping each other get through this together. So whatever you can do to think differently outside the box, not say what everyone else is saying, but try to be unique but relevant, I say is my tip to everyone.
Thanks for that, Gavin. All right, we have 3 more questions currently in the questions tab. So we have one from Jessica Melkor. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She's asking, Gavin, is the strategy map effective to use in multiple programs within one agency?
Yeah, I think the way an agency could use this is to really help out your clients. So I would almost work with the clients on crafting their strategy. And then show them, if you're a social media agency or a marketing agency, show them where you could help out as part of their strategy. So when you say multiple programs, I'm assuming you mean multiple goals or initiatives for a particular client. I would say you probably have a meeting with your clients, see what their challenges are, what their goals are, work with them on the strategy, as I showed you before, to fill in those different objectives. And then you would be able to help them out in the different areas, depending on your skill sets. So I hope that answered the question.
Let's hope so. Yes, it did. Yes, Jessica says thank you. Thank you so much for the lovely question, Jessica. We have another question from Divine Grant. Thanks so much, by the way, about the zoom in pinching. That was really great tip. So she's asking, or he is asking, how much does knowing what your audience likes to see and engage with them matter in correlation to creating a strategy? Is it pure trial and error?
What do you think, Veronica?
I think these are very interesting times. I think, as you mentioned, Gavin, these, in terms of, I've been spending more time on social media and also taking breaks from it. But right now, if I follow brands, I do think the best kind of content, it will be relevant in a sense that it's, not out of place. I'm not spammed with lots of sales. And also at the same time, it's empathetic. Like, it shows empathy to the situation. It entertains and informs. So in terms of COVID-19, I think you just have to be very transparent and let your consumer audience know what you think of them. Like, what is your position as a brand, to just tell them. They might think you are out of business because you're posting less, or you just want to let them know. And after that, you just need to see how you can deliver value and be entertaining or informative, which is basically the best practice of social media if you go back to the basics.
Very true. I agree with that. I think you just have to be relevant to what they're interested in right now. So I think now it's really about how you can help. Less about selling, more about what you can offer in terms of your skill set, your knowledge, that can help others.
That's very true. Nice. All right. And then we have another question from Karen. If you have different parts to the business, do you create a strategy map for each? For example, you're selling business portraits and family portraits. The corporate side tends to have a different focus than the personal portrait side. I guess it's a photography business potentially that we're talking about here.
Yeah, so I guess from my perspective, when I first tried these, my idea was to have every department creating their own strategy maps for every sort of manager, but it would be impossible to kind of coordinate everyone towards a common goal. So I think I would try start off with just one initially, because the worst thing that can happen is just to have multiple strategy maps all over the company and not everyone working towards the one thing that's important. So I think I would start off small, just do one to give visibility of what your goals are, what you're working towards. And then if it makes sense, if it gets too cluttered, you might decide to have others that feed into the main one. And if you research actually on strategy maps, there are ways to create them for different sort of departments. So you can create like a marketing strategy map, one for sales, whatever it is. They're different. So you can be flexible in the quadrants. So even though the ones that I showed you now were obviously these are like the standard ones, you could decide that you might want to change these for what's relevant to whatever department you're working in. But I would say initially to start off with one for everyone, for the whole company, before you explore other ways of breaking this up.
Thanks, Gavin. All right. Marshall keys. Yep. Okay. We do have one more question. Thank you all for all of your lovely questions, and thank you for confirming that we've answered them. We do have one final question in the Q&A, which will probably be the last one since we're running a little bit over, and it's from Georgie. Thanks again for volunteering. And Georgie is asking, what do you think will never be the same after COVID-19?
Yeah, it's tricky. I think social distancing is here to stay for a long time. First of all, I think the virus will be under control and then come back for a second sort of spell or a second wave. So I think what's happening, what I've seen is that more people are going online than ever before. So we've seen the explosion of Zoom, Facebook Live. It's becoming quite saturated because everyone's doing it. But people are finding new ways to deliver their services online. And I think that we'll see more of that, I guess, in the future. So for example, like just from my personal example, like my daughters have ballet class. Those ballet classes are now done on Zoom and they do it from home. And I think it's more practical, it saves time, it saves money. It's not sociable as sociable as it could be, but it delivers the service in a decent way that gives value. So I think we'll see more of that happening, more online, and more of a need for community than ever before, right? I think people will stick to these communities, especially the ones that have high trust and that are delivering high value. So I think that'll continue to be part of the future. What are your thoughts, Veronica? Maybe you have some ideas from the marketing perspective.
Yeah, I feel like we're all going to be a little bit more reactive. I was being very comfortable with the whole way of how, I've streamlined everything and all of the processes are there. And as you said, you can read a book about a new practice and, just approach it. But I think what I really like, well, not like, but this is a really tough situation. But I think for smaller brands, this is a great sort of chance to really shine brighter and create that brand loyalty and trust that some of the bigger companies don't do or won't do because they're simply too big to care about one single customer. I've had a few occasions where, even getting a refund or getting my ticket moved or just seeing that from a brand that they're allowing that has created brand loyalty for years. Just that simple act of kindness and understanding. So I think it will be a little bit more reactive in a sense that we need to embrace testing and just measuring things and just sort of embracing that change, but also being more human, like for real, in our marketing.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think people are going back to just being human and authentic, and people are looking for that human sort of touch. So I don't think it'll be as easy to gain trust in the future. I think now is a really good opportunity to gain trust. This is your real opportunity to really build an audience by just helping others and not asking for anything in return. Cool. Any other questions, or should we end it there?
I don't think we have any more questions. No, I guess I just have a note. I'll drop a few useful links while maybe Gavin finishes the session. I think that will be the best. So if you want to sign off, Gavin.
Cool. Yeah, as I said, if you want to email me after this at gavin@sendible.com. If you have any follow-up questions or any thoughts on, if you want the strategy map template, I'll send that to you as well. And if you have any ideas on kind of your own strategy that you need help on, I'm happy to kind of help you out on that and see where we can help you with that strategy of yours during these uncertain times. And if you want to join our community, obviously just search on Facebook for the Social Media Storytellers Facebook community, and we will be happy to welcome you and continue the conversation there.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Gavin. I do think we got another question, so maybe we can just answer this last one.
Okay, fine.
From Divine. So my company is very event driven. What are some ways that we can continue to stay relevant and keep a good social media presence?
Trying to think of the events that I've been monitoring. Have you considered sort of doing online events, like Zoom events, inviting people to those? I've seen a lot of the conferences that I normally attend, they've all moved online now. Again, it's becoming very saturated. It's very difficult to get people's attention. So I'm trying to think what else could be done. Almost like if you can get the speakers, because obviously a lot of the speakers now just don't have speaking gigs at the moment. So whatever you can do to work with those speakers to kind of help create the content for your events. You might want to be promoting something. Actually, something that I advised someone else on recently is almost to create, rather than do an event, but create a course where you invite those speakers to be part of it. And you might want to just give the first few sessions for free and then charge for subsequent sessions. So you might want to do like a 12-week course with, let's say, 5 speakers. And you give your first week of courses free or whatever it is. And then after that, you start charging and get people to subscribe when they see the value. But I think the key is to bring those events online now, see what you can do to build an audience, to show value as much as you can. I just think you can't expect to charge what you would normally be charging. So as you were saying about cutting costs, I think now is a really good time. But just giving things away for free to whet their appetite right now and get them into your audience, and then build that trust and then start selling after that would be really good. So if you can kind of weather the storm, if your runway allows you to, I would try to build the audience as much as you can for the short term, and then for the long term, they're ready for your event, even if it's an online event later on. Anything to add, Veronica, on the social media side?
I think I've seen, when Divine said about the entertainment, I think I've seen a lot of musicians and comedians now just getting together and hosting these live shows. And again, just growing their own personal brand and entertaining people online. And usually it is free, but at least we do get to connect with those people and we can still have some events. So I've found that has been quite fun to watch. And I'll check the link and why it's not working. Just please give me a second.
There's one for Divine. I'm not sure if you're on YouTube, but there's been an increase in view time on YouTube at the moment. So there's an opportunity there because obviously everyone's at home consuming content. So I would maybe even give snippets of your, if you're doing courses or events, whatever it is, give tasters away on YouTube to try and build the audience. That'd also be quite handy, I think, right now. So video content on YouTube and obviously Facebook Live would be really a good way to attract an audience.